I say replace Ruto, which means what should come in place of what we have. And replacing Ruto is a tall order. It must have an agenda. Ruto must go with a very simple order. Anything can take over, even a cat. Even a cockroach can take over. But replacing Ruto is a more difficult agenda. So we must have a very clear agenda that leads us to the Kenya we deserve, which is the Kenya that the Constitution and the national anthem describe. So my prayer would be that we get a government that can implement the Constitution.
Hello and welcome. We're right here at Buba Awards, and the awards generally are about awarding good leadership and governance, and we're right here with our very own Senator Okiya Omtatah. How are you, sir?
I'm fine.
Congratulations on winning your award.
Thank you very much.
Maybe you can tell us what category that was under.
It is branded Civil Rights Champion. It's an award that we should not be winning of more than 10 years. I think we are now about 15 years since the new constitution came into place. We should not be fighting for human rights. It should have been implemented, and this kind of awards are really outdated awards. That people are still fighting for human rights today is a very sad thing for us in this country. And so this is an award that is not a celebration of Kenya, but a condemnation of the Republic as having failed to live up to the promise of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. And so it is very sad. I'm also holding here the Runners-Up Award for Mr. Boniface Mwangi, which I collected for him. And I think if Mwangi was here, I would also say that really we should not be fighting for human rights, which are entrenched in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And the government has had 15 years to implement that Constitution. The fact that people still are struggling, and you have seen the Gen Zs dying on the streets and what have you, is a big condemnation of this country. So I accept the award, but I don't celebrate it, because it's an award that tells us that we have failed. We thought that when we got the new constitution, we'd move on to do things that are productive. Fighting for human rights is not productive. They should never be fought for. They should just be enjoyed. They are God-given. They should be enjoyed. We should be giving awards in industry, in scholarship, in enterprise, but not awards in human rights. Awards in human rights are a sad statement on where the country is. And so, whereas I accept the award, I don't celebrate it. And I hope we'll get to a point whereby human rights will never be a category to be awarded, because human rights will be enjoyed by everybody by law, and will not need anybody to champion anybody's human rights. That's what I would celebrate, the day we don't have an award in that category. But sadly, we must have an award in that category, because people are fighting and people are dying, and we have seen young people die. And I pray that God delivers us to the promised land. If you look at our national anthem, it doesn't mention human rights. It mentions food, it mentions liberty, it mentions those things. So if we get there, then maybe we'll be okay. But it means that we have a big job to do.
15 years down the line, what hope should Kenyans cling on?
The hope is that we have the Constitution. Nobody has suspended it, and we have to implement it. And I think the struggle we have to do is to implement it fully. And the only thing that can get us out of the hole and give us a way forward is the implementing the Constitution as it is. Yeah.
And Mheshimiwa, if you're given a day to be our president here in Kenya, what is that one thing that you will change?
A day might be too short, because the day will be taken up by the swearing-in ceremony.
Let's say.
But what needs to be done, that even Ruto can do today, is to implement the Constitution, with a clear focus on the following key areas. First of all is on the Bill of Rights, to make sure that the rights of people are protected. 2 would be on integrity in leadership, to make sure that these people are stealing are dealt with, people who are wasting public resources are dealt with. That is chapter 6. Bill of Rights was chapter 4. Next would be chapter 7 for me, to make sure that we set up a mechanism for holding tamper-proof elections, not free and fair, tamper-proof elections that are accurate, verifiable, simple, and conducted in a neutral manner as required by the Constitution, including terminating the presidential elections at the constituency and doing away with the bombers or any national tallying center. Then, number 4 would be to look seriously at devolution and make sure that the governance of the devolved units is given slightly more attention than it's receiving right now. Funds follow devolved functions, but also people in the devolved units are held to account. There's a lot of pilferage and theft in the county governments. And then finally, of course, related to that is the question of public finances. And that's where the mother of all problems lies. For me, would be to separate the treasury from the executive. The Constitution requires it at Article 225, Clause 1, but we have not done it. So if we take the treasury away from the presidency, the president will move from being a lion to being a small cat. And that way, the judiciary will have oxygen to breathe, parliament will have oxygen to breathe. Just take money away from the president and put it in parliament by hiving the treasury away from the executive, the Ministry of Finance, and running the treasury strictly like any bank could be run, whereby money is withdrawn based on what the budget says and approval of the control of budget. And the budget that is made by Parliament becomes the tool that governs the distribution of resources in the country, not proximity to the president. Right now you are told that you have to be loyal to the president to get development. It should not be like that. It should be in the budget, so that every MP who has a say, who is given a say in the budget, is able to influence how the budget is made, and it represents their people. And at the end of the day, they give the president to implement through the executive and hold him accountable at the end of the day, when the work has been done. But the current situation whereby wherever the president is, mini budgets are made. You have seen that at funerals where the president attends public functions, the local leaders come up and say, we need this, we need that, we need the other. That has been a total distortion of the country. Also, this money you see running around in churches, big harambes. Right now you see Kindiki running with a lot of money, trying to bribe people to say that the government is working. That money has not been budgeted for. That money is being stolen from the consolidated fund. And the reason is that the consolidated fund is managed by the president. So if there's anything we need to do in this country, is to control public funds, is to lock up public money away from the presidency, get a national treasurer who is a professional, independent, with job security, and ensure that only authorized expenditure in the budget is the one that we incur. Even loans, only those loans that have been approved by Parliament are the ones that we accept. If we do that, we drain the swamp, and Kenya and everybody will sober up, and politics will not be a means to making money, to becoming rich. Politics will be a means for serving the people and making a legacy.
There is a question here. When you look at many Kenyans are not happy with the opposition party, they are claiming that they have one enemy who is Ruto, rather to get away with Ruto's regime. But when you see that the opposition is not well organized as it is being claimed, that if the goal is one, why should you guys come up with one person to make sure that they are getting away with this regime?
I think the issue is not The issue is not simply the question of getting rid of Ruto. For me, the question is replacing Ruto. That's why I always say replace Ruto, not what the other people say. I say replace Ruto, which means what should come in place of what we have. And replacing Ruto is a tall order. It must have an agenda. Ruto must go with a very simple order. Anything can take over, even a cat. Even a cockroach can take over. But replacing Ruto is a more difficult agenda. So we must have a very clear agenda that leads us to the Kenya we deserve, which is the Kenya that the Constitution and the national anthem describe. So my prayer would be that we get a government that can implement the Constitution. Now, some of the people who are in the opposition are jilted. It's not that they are opposed to Ruto, but they feel that Ruto has treated them badly, and they would like to have the same power Ruto has and do the same thing that Ruto is doing, because they were doing them when they were in power, when they were friends with Ruto. So what I would be praying is that we replace Ruto, and replace Ruto means implementing the Constitution. So there are very many people who are masquerading in the opposition as opposition, who know that if you implement the Constitution, they will not have peace. So they would rather that the confusion continues and Ruto is isolated as an enemy. But the struggle is beyond an individual, beyond replacing Ruto, beyond just removing Ruto from power. The struggle is about getting credible leadership for this country to move forward based on the constitution of the republic. And so maybe as we go forward, when people get to the stage whereby they begin giving other ideological frameworks and manifestos, we'll be able to see people with common ideas coming together and moving. But even with the divided the opposition, we should recognize that the current constitution does not allow anybody to win by a simple majority. Like President Moi won when he ran with Matiba and Odinga and what have you. That time, it was just a simple majority. Right now, we must get 50% of the votes plus 1. Now, 50% plus 1 automatically means that sometimes the more people you have running, the higher the chances that you'll have a runoff between number 1 and number 2. And that will automatically give you 2 candidates. So we might not make it in the first round, but in the second round, it will be 2 front runners who will take it against each other. So I don't have very big fear that people must come together and sell, what I said, kuuza sura. Me, I'm more concerned in the Sera. What does somebody stand for? Yeah. Beyond removing Ruto, what do you stand for?
And also, we can talk of the Gen Z movement. There is this YG woman rep talked of maybe digging the elections, the 2027 elections for the president to get back for the second term. Maybe what can you tell Kenyans in terms of maybe when it comes to a point whereby kura zinaanza kuibiwa ovyo ovyo tu?
Now you see, that is somebody who is threatening to commit an election crime. In a serious country, should have been arrested and should be out of parliament. Because you cannot sit in parliament and say you are going to disobey the law, or you are planning to breach the law. So first of all, it is a statement that is totally ill-informed, but it's not an idle statement, because some of us know that what President Ruto is working on is how to rig the next election so that he stays in power. He rigged the last one, that's how he got into power. So rigging works for him, and for me, I think that statement is not an idle statement, it's a wake-up call, and we must be prepared for that. And you saw the other day the disclosure that some schools are fictitious schools, and if we use schools as polling centers, we are going to insist on very small things, even including to be given GPS coordinates for polling stations. They must be given GPS coordinates when they are published. Those kind of reforms are going to help. If we terminate the presidential election at the constituency, the way the constitution requires, there's no way, it will be very difficult to rig, because rigging has been happening in Bomas. It will be very difficult to rig. And so as they prepare to rig, we are also preparing to ensure that we have a tamper-proof election, an election that cannot be tampered with. Other things we are going to demand, we are also going to demand digital elections that make rigging a very, very difficult. So I think that we are on the cusp of a very important time in history. And we know that even right now we are getting reports that people in border towns in the northeastern are engaged in very, very heavy registration. And all Ruto wants to do is to create an impression that he can win, and using that impression, go ahead and rig the election. So we are going to prepare for that and make sure that the next election, even if Ruto himself is the returning officer and Ruto himself is the IBC, it will be very difficult to rig. And I'm sure that rigging an election in 2027 will be a very tall order. Because I think people are informed, and we will want young people to go out and work as clerks, not just monitors, clerks, and be able to document whatever is happening. Yeah.
And Mheshimiwa, I mean, you are in the Senate, and as a leader, what have you done about the allegations of chaos that are going in there, whereby they are exposing that some of the leaders are misusing the budgets on traveling, women are complaining of sexual favors in order to get 1 or 2, 3 things. So are those allegations true, and what are you leaders doing to make sure it doesn't happen?
Now, the problem is that an allegation between a man and a woman usually doesn't have a third party. So it's one's word against another man's word. Maybe the woman thought she was attractive and the man ignored her, and then she turns around to begin hitting the man. It has happened to some of us that women have hit us when you ignore them, so it's a two-way traffic.
So you're not agreeing with Senator Gloria of whatever?
Well, Senator Roba was given a chance to defend herself and produce evidence. She did not. Due process says you produce evidence or you suffer the consequences.
Yeah.
You cannot just say that I'll do this, damn the consequences. No. So she's talking, but there was no evidence. And if she has evidence, it's a very serious allegation. If she has no evidence, she has to be punished severely. So it is something that's really difficult. But she was given a chance in the Senate to defend herself. She never showed up, according to the record we have been given. In court, she looks like she didn't make her case, and so she has been left with a heavy bill, but she has said she's appealing. So I hope as she appeals, justice will be done. In my world, even the devil has his due. Due process must be given to everybody. So she has a right to appeal. She has a right to complain the way she has complained, but it has to be factual. But also other people have got rights to reputations. The people being accused have got families. But as regards the budgets of the Senate, I think there's a lot of opaqueness in the way those budgets are run. And among them, we have got the budget on, even you look at this, the house we have, this called Bunge Tower.
Yeah.
The horrible thing, if you look at the amount of money that was spent on it and the way the building is, it's a horrible, horrible building. The other day we had a situation whereby a senator suffered a mild heart attack. I had to literally, because I was there, I had to literally call a doctor and put on a video for the doctor to give me instructions on what to do to save that life. And we had now, when the St. John ambulance came, none of the lifts could fit a stretcher, you see. Very tiny lift. You wonder who designed this building. So we had to carry this man from, fortunately, the incident happened on the first floor, not on the upper floor. So we had to carry this man. The staircase was narrow. It was quite a bit of a struggle to get to carry the stretcher shoulder high to get it down. So, but if you look at the amount of money that went into the building, it's colossal amounts. If you look at the finishings in there, some of the tables look like they were done in a village polytechnic. So you ask yourself, what was all this money doing? So abuse of budgets in parliament is a matter that needs to be addressed. And it's not just a question of travel. Some of us are there, but you don't know how that money is allocated. We just are observers. So we don't know how it's allocated. There's been attempts to have accountability. I think Senator Cherargei has raised it, but it was swept under the carpet. So that's where we are.
My last question on Gen Z movement. Every time we see Mandamano, you're always there to support the Gen Z and whatever issues they have because of the Mandamano. But some of the leaders go on to say that people like you are only using the platform and using these young people to gain popularity and fame for your reason, for your personal gains. I don't want to...
Well, first of all, you have to understand the street. Article 1 says you can exercise power directly or by delegation. Parliament is a second option. The first option is the street, direct exercise of power. And the street for me have been there for a very long time. I think from 2005 or something. Question of whatever capacity, intellectual capacity I have it, I've published books, my books are taught in the US. So I don't think I'd be doing anything to gain any fame, but I realize that the challenge facing this country is existential, and if we continue on the trajectory we are going, we will not have a country. We'll have a waste basket, and even some of us who are in parliament might find ourselves in Uganda queuing with a plate to get some food. You see, and the way we have treated Ugandans and Tanzanians, we may not really be welcome. So we really have to be careful and to make sure that this country works. And the young people are not doing anything strange. The young people are, if you look at the history of this country, young people from the days of Makatilili Wamensa have always been on the forefront demanding change. They came in, the Mau Mau came in, we got independence, there was agitation for multipartyism, then for a new constitution, we got a constitution. Now the Gen Z are pushing for the implementation of that constitution. Yeah, for me, it should be the final installment in the struggle to emancipate the Republic of Kenya. And that's why I join it, because it's part of the struggle we have worked for a very long time, and we would like to see it coming to fruition within our lifetimes. That's why we support the Gen Z.
Okay. So as we wind up, my question is, you have talked about removing the president the power from the power. So the big question is, who will replace Ruto according to your thinking, sir?
Myself. Yes. I'm done to replace Ruto in 2027.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
Wish you all the best.
Thank you and God bless you.
We love you so much.